What's up, YouTube? Hope everyone's having an absolutely blessed day today. So I posted a video and got a little bit of feedback around reloading, and some people were interested in seeing kind of what I do, what my setup looks like and all. So I'm going to show you all my setup. Now, I just recently put everything up here, so just a little bit of background. I used to do a lot of reloading, a lot of shooting a few years back. And when I took another job and we sold our house and moved, I ended up bringing all my stuff with me, but I never did set up a place to really reload and all. So I did a little bit of shooting here and there, but nothing like what I used to do. And here recently, I kind of got back into shooting some more. And with saying that, I said, well, I just didn't want to go spend a pile of money buying all new ammo every time I wanted to go shoot. Because I already had all the equipment. And I'll show y'all what equipment I use and what I've got here in just a few minutes. But so what I done was, we took a spare bedroom in our house that we have. It's our guest bedroom, and I actually built a new reloading station in the closet. So this is actually built in our closet in a guest bedroom. So we have guests come up, they stay for a couple days. There's plenty of places to hang clothes and all that in the room, and also not really worried about it, but I built it to where if I wanted to take it out, I could have it out of here in an hour after I packed everything up. But taking everything out, I could. But I could also put another clothes rod back across there and leave it if I wanted to. But for right now, this is what we got. And when we really started looking at it, it was I didn't think it'd be big enough. And then my wife said, well, let's try it and see. So I took some more measurements, and anyway, this is what I built, and I'll show y'all that here in a few minutes. But anyway, back to it. I do want to start off by saying I am not a professional reloader, guys. I've done a lot of YouTube research over the years. I've done a bunch of reading, studying. I have a friend of mine that he was reloading in the past. I kind of got interested in it. Now he is a precision shooter. He builds custom precision rifles, 1,000-yard plus rifles, and that's what he does for a living, and he is very good at that. But I am not that guy. I'm not a 1,000-yard shooter. I've shot 300-400 yards before. I'm decent, but I'm not even in the same league as him when it comes to that type of stuff and the people that he competes with. What I reload is things for what I want to shoot. So I reload more for bulk. I am not precision. I'm not trying to shoot a gnat at 150, 200 yards. I don't care about that. I like being able to reach out there and hit the target where I'm trying to hit. And again, I reload more for bulk. So I will say that if you want to get into reloading, one of the most important things you can do is do a lot of research and get yourself some books. Now, I've got a few books. I've got some books up there. I've got some books online. I've got, you can go to different websites, but this right here is the book that I typically use. It's the Modern Reloading second edition by Richard Lee. And you can see I've got some tabs up here, but I like this book just because it's one of the first ones that I bought, and there may be better books out there that I'm unaware of, but this so far has given me all the information I need. So I'll show you something real quick. Pull that out. But I actually just got done loading some 44 Magnum up just a minute ago. But if you wanted to load 44 Magnum, then you could open the book to the 44 mag section, and it gives you right here all your bullet dimensions. So this will tell you what your case size should be, neck size, tells you what size primers you, large pistol primers for this one as an example, tells you your overall length of the casing with the head, which is the projectile, the bullet. It gives you all that information. And it also gives you over here, if you can see, I'm trying to do this, guys. I'm not a professional when it comes to this. It gives you your powders that you use, and if you see, I use HP38 for this one. It tells you how many grains you should be running in it, what feet per second that the bullet should run. It also gives you your max. If you can see that, it'll give you your max, never exceed, and then it'll tell you from there what it should be and your minimum overall length. So gives you your pressures, things like that. So let me close that back up without putting the little tab back in. Forgive me, guys, it's fixing to storm here. Anyway, that to me is one of the most important things. I've got multiple books. Again, I've got some online, and you can go online and look different powder manufacturers and stuff like that. But what I want to do is just kind of show you the equipment that I use. And if you got any questions, you can ask down below and I'll do my best to answer. So if you can tell, this is my reloading setup right here. And again, it is in a closet. And what I done was I built a shelf down here. And down here is where I keep all my brass and stuff. So I've got 44 mag, 9mm, 223. I've got some clean brass that's not quite ready to go, but it's been cleaned. I've got a jug down here that all my empty primers go in. And of course I got a little shop vac right there because I like to keep everything very clean and tidy when I'm doing this. And a little trash can. I've also got my Frankfurt Arsenal rotary tumbler. Now this is a smaller of them. I'm not the guy that's going to go clean 1500 9mm brass at one time. I think I can clean about 300 or so in, I think I can clean about 300 or so in that at a time. So we'll go out and shoot. I'll get my brass, pick up a little bit and throw it in there when I get back. And I use Lemashine Dawn dish soap, and I end up tumbling it for about 2 hours or so, but I typically will deprime first, so it means I'll knock the primers out of it. So we'll go up here. So right there I've got a sonic cleaner, and I don't use that very much anymore, but I've got some solution right there. I've got different heads for, this is 9mm, 44 mag, this is 223 heads, got some VMAX, and there I've got different powders up here. IMR 4198, HP38, Auto Comp, 748, and True Blue. What I've got in this right now is the HP38 because that's what I'm loading was 44 mag. I got another powder measure. This is the for big volume. This is for my low volume, my pistols, and typically my rifle. I've got a couple speed loaders right there, book, a box of stuff. I've got a swaging tool here and a trimmer right there, and of course this tray, and I'll show you how I use all that stuff shortly. All right, so on this I got some WD-40. I like to spray my stuff down and keep it clean, but I make sure this doesn't get into powder. I've got BioGreen lube and One Shot here. This is my case lube. Again, a sonic cleaner. I've got some different, these are 380 I think right here, 9mm, all 9, this is 44 mag. I've got a set of dies right here. This is for my 223. Of course, just a little metal tray here. Of course, my power strip. I keep my primers up here. So this is AR, this is for my 9, this is AR, this is for 44 Magnum. So that's, I'm thinking about getting into 357, 38 special type deal, but I haven't made my mind up yet. This is just a digital caliper, and what I use it for is to check my overall length on my shells once I'm done. So the book will tell you what length you need to have, but that's what I have that there for. Got universal tray here, just got some stuff, got a magnet tool holder. These are my shell holder plates for my press. Got some springs for it, of course some funnels, and here's a little bit of press parts. Got some shell holders right there for different gauges. This is a go, no-go gauge, for those of you who don't know. So what this does is you pick a shell and you drop it down in here. If you look, this thing is flush in here and it drops right in there like that, that means that shell is right. So when I'm done reloading, I put them back in here and I check them, make sure the primers are seated good, because if y'all don't know, that's the primer, a little round piece right there. This is the shell, the casing, your powder's inside, and then that's your head, your projectile bullet. So you can pick any of these up, and I check just to make sure they drop down in there, they're good and flush like they should be. That means they're sized correctly and all. And again, I did use my calipers, and I think this is 1.610 is the overall length, maximum overall length, and these are 1.595. But that's how I check them, so I know they're good. So when I'll show you the setup when I use, but when I press these in here, and I know it's very, very, very hard to tell even for me without looking through a camera. I do put a slight crimp on it right there because I am shooting this in a revolver, and so I want to make sure on the recoil that the heads don't pop out. So anyway, that's 44 mag I just got done reloading. All right, so here I just got, again, I got different tools right here that I use on the press. This is a bullet puller. So what you do is you unscrew this right here and you loosen this up. You take this, you shove it down in there so it looks like that. You tighten this up, and you go out there on the concrete or a hard piece of wood or something, and you hit this thing like that, and the momentum will actually cause that bullet to pop out, and it won't fire because you hadn't hit the primer or anything. Of course, your powder and all falls out at the same time. So if you ever mess up, which people do, if you've ever done reloading, you mess up, or if I'm really trying to check a crimp to see if it's good enough, I'll take this out there and I'll load one without primer and powder. So this is a dummy round that I have. So this, as you can tell, does not have a primer in it. There's no powder, and this was loaded. So this is my overall length. This right here, I can check this, make sure that all my stuff's right. But this is just, again, this is just a dummy round that I like to check. And when I go to just get my setup done, I can check my setup against this. So these are my primer tools. I got a large and a small. These are for picking up primers. This is my small feeder tube. It actually goes down in here. And I'll go through this rod here in just a second and tell y'all what it is. But that's the primer tube. And then, of course, I got some more dies over here, and I've got some holders there. And of course, this is just gun cleaning supplies right there. I do run a Hornady scale, and I also have a Hornady, I think it's a G3 1500 or something like that. that I use for double checking my scale measurements. So long as that and that line up when I'm testing my powder charge, I know it's right. Now this I got quite a few years ago. I've only used it a couple times when I first got into reloading. And what you do is put powder in this, and you see that little bitty hole right there, and as you're doing it, you can twist this and it'll pull powder in, and it actually has like a little screw threads down in here, and the powder will feed out and drop out very, very slowly. So if you're trying to ever do any precision type reloading, this is a way to do it. They got digital ones now also. So the next thing I have, this is a Hornady lock and load progressive press. So you have these shell plate holders right here, and they're different ones. This one is for the 44 mag. This is for 9mm. That's for 223. And of course, here's the springs, and that's where the spring goes right there. So what I like about this setup is it's pretty quick changing. So if I wanted to go to my 9mm, I can just pull these out. These have these locks on them right here. So once I put that in there and lock it, that's ready to load right now, as long as I don't mess with the adjustments. So I like this setup. This is my powder dispenser right here. This is automatic. The case comes up in here. I would lift this up, but this here travels up and down. So it's getting powder right now, and when you pull it back up, it actually dumps it down the cylinder, down into your casing. Moves around, you set your bullet on it, your head, press it up into here. This sets your depth, and then I use this one here to set my crimp. This here knocks the primers out of it, size it. This right here, this one is for neck expander, so it expands your neck out just a little bit, and I keep it as minimum as I can to keep that stretching all off the press. But really, the way this works, you pull this handle, it comes around, locks like that. This is your primer feeder tube, and this is thundering outside. This is a brass rod. Now this thing comes with a plastic rod. When we moved up here, either that thing got lost, broke, something, I can't find it. So I'm using it's an 1/8 inch brass rod, and I took and melted plastic, a bottle cap, and melted to the end of it. So what this does is when you put it down in here, and I just don't drop it like that, right? I just don't drop it in there when there's primers in it. What I do is I use this to push out. You pick your primers up in this primer tool right here, and then you turn it upside down, you pull this little pin, they drop down, and then you set this on here, and it puts a little bit of weight on it is all it does, and helps push it down. And then you can see I got a mark on it right there. But again, this is supposed to be plastic. I'm using a brass rod. I just make sure I just don't do any dropping on it on top of those primers. I don't want them to go off. And this is an explosion tube right here, I think is what it's called. But this screws over top of that inner tube right there, if you can see that inner tube. This tube just comes out. And this one's for the large primers. I'm not left-handed, guys. So, what is new to this setup besides building the bench and the 2 shelves and putting the pegboard up? So one thing that I bought new was this, and this handle. So this is Inline Fabrications. This is for the lock and load press. So on my last setup, I had this higher, and this just mounted directly to the bench. This setup being the way it is, so if you look right there, I don't have very much clearance right there. So I couldn't have just pulled this out. I could have recessed the bench back in and mounted it, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted it a good even surface right there. So I bought this. Of course, I have the lights in here. Okay, so one other thing that I wanted to show you guys. Sorry, the camera shut off a minute ago and not exactly 100% sure where I was at. So anyway, you look right here, and it's kind of scuffed up, but I have some inserts right here, threaded inserts. And what I do with these, if I'm ready to do some swaging on my 223, you look, those thread inserts line up with that. I drop 2 bolts down in there, and then I can sit down here and drop it on, put it up here, and of course it's not bolted down now, and then swedge my brass there. But that's what that is for. And then I can go from this hole and this hole and put 2 bolts in there, and it holds my trimmer down. So anyway, that's my reloading setup. Again, some people asked, I said put a video out and asked if people would be interested in it, and I got some feedback that people would be interested in seeing kind of what I do. I will probably do a reloading video and show y'all how I go through the steps. I'm not going to show you every single little thing, but I'll probably put a video together just to show everyone kind of what I do and what works for me. Again, I am not a professional at reloading. I've reloaded enough that I feel very, very, very comfortable in shooting the loads that I'm reloading. I do a lot of research. I probably research more than I need to, and I test more than I need to. So when I'm setting up this press, when I set this press right here back up for this 44 mag, I was very meticulous in every single step of that. The last thing I want to do is go out there and pull the trigger on the gun and have a load blow up in my hand, mess my hands up. But I am very meticulous on this setup right here. When I set this thing up, I pulled everything apart, I cleaned everything, and I set this die up first, and I run everything through. I made sure everything was right with this die. I pulled it out, and then I went to this one and I set this up, and I made sure everything was completely right with it. I didn't fool with this yet. Then I set this up and I dialed in everything. That's where this dummy load comes from, right? I set this up and made sure everything was right on this. Pulled everything back off. I set this one up. I made my crimp was right, and I would crimp it, and I would go out there and see just how much force I needed with this hammer to go out there and dislodge this, because the last thing I want to do is be shooting my gun and have one of these others that I haven't shot yet pop out. And then I set this up, and I probably checked my powder charges 25 times, checking, adjusting, checking, tweaking, adjusting with my scales. So anyway, I do have a few other little things up here I didn't go through. Like if I want to clean the primer pockets out on a shell, I use this right here, just like a little wire brush. You stick in there and twist it a couple times. And after I'm done trimming a case, I use this little deburring tool. I think I'm gonna look at buying me an automatic case trimmer and deburring tool. But after you've done a couple hundred of these, it cramps your hands up when you're holding. Let me see if I can show you guys. When you're holding this brass and you're sitting there and you're cleaning it up, and I'm not really cleaning this, I'm not any pressure. I have to do that. After you do a few hundred of these by hand, it gets a little bit, your hands get a little sore. And of course, I've just got other little things setting up there that I typically sometimes use. This is one tool that makes getting your primers ready very nice. It pops open this little tray. It's got ridges on it. You dump your primers in here. You put your lid back on it. You can shake this thing around for a little bit. It'll turn all your primers to the right way. You flip it over, pop it open, and then you can use your primer pickup tube to come through and pick each one of them up. And you pick them up facing down, and when you turn them over, you set it back up on here. You set it back up on here, and you pull this little pin and they drop down this tube. So everyone, I hope that helped. I hope it was informative to you guys. This is the setup that I use. I hope everyone has an absolutely blessed day, and if you'd like to see some more reloading content, please comment below and let me know. Hey guys, I hope everyone has a blessed day. Thanks.